Well, if that isn't a sign that you should go back to bed, I don't quite know what is. Wake up, no power. No power? And then get the power back, no internet. Ah, but got it all. Got it all squared away. No more Archeage for Jalan. Feels bad. No, it won't be a total no more Archeage, but, uh, you know, last couple of weeks, I've been sitting there, hey Darth, last couple of since sweetheart, you can't go back to bed, you're a working girl again, remember? You gotta work hard. Go to work and run the rat race and all those motivational insert that crap here. But, I don't know, 6, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, I came back to Archeage. Really enjoyed it. Sat down, was really excited, worked a ton. I was like, I love this game. I want to put a bunch of stuff together for it. The problem is that as I sit down and I think about it more and more, I get asked a lot of questions, and I don't mind helping people in Archeage. I love helping people in Archeage. You know, it makes my day, actually, when I wake up and I have questions. Like just this morning, somebody asked a question. So it feels good, man. Start my day off helping people with their questions. But I got asked a question over the weekend, and I, was kind of taken aback by it because I could understand the person's point of view. And they asked me if I actually enjoyed Archeage. And I said, do you actually think this is a good game, or are you just trying to push videos? And you know what? That's a pretty valid question. Do I really think Archeage is a good game, or am I just trying to push videos? Well, as we all know, I don't particularly care about my content creator career. I do this to hang out with you guys a couple of times a week, answer questions, be useful to new players, support whatever game I'm playing. And I had said a couple of times I wasn't going to make content for Final Fantasy XIV. And I said I don't want to turn it into a job like it feels like a job. Does anyone really enjoy Archeage though? That is the question. That is the crux of the question right there. So what I decided was, since I stream in order to hang out with people, I probably will hang out playing a little Final Fantasy XIV. At least one of the 3 shows a week, I will hang out playing a little Final Fantasy XIV, because there's stuff I want to get done in the game that I'm primarily playing. I want to come back to this game. I want to play it again. It just feels like I'm being punished for playing it when I do. It's like an abusive relationship. I would laugh if we didn't communally get to that same reference point about 6 months ago. And it's not just me. There's a bunch of psychologists in the Paradox Gaming Network. Psychiatrists, psychologists, mental health professionals, regular gamers that have all said, yeah, it exhibits all the characteristics. You know it's not good for you, and you still come back to it anyway. I made a list. I didn't want people to think that I was just coming up here, ranting and raving. I actually have a logical, organized list. And the first one, I'm gonna lay the groundwork, and some of you may feel the same way. About 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, this open world sandbox concept was the new thing, if we can put the hot new hype. Open world sandbox, free of restrictions, not a theme park, not having to go from A to B to C. You could do it in any order. It was like new, it was fresh. It was, wow, I can kill people in the open world. It was exciting. It was really, really exciting. So I left Final Fantasy XIV to come over to Archeage. Now, I have to say that I left Final Fantasy XIV. It's not like Archeage was so Star-Spangled awesome that it pulled me out of Final Fantasy XIV. It was more along the lines of Archeage was getting me up to here, but Final Fantasy was bringing me down to here, so it was easy to flip over. Now, I loved Archeage day one. I still enjoy Archeage, but yeah, how many steps Archeage has taken away from Sandbox? What does that say about the whole open world sandbox games? It doesn't say anything about the open world sandbox games. I don't think the open world sandbox games is the problem. I think it's the managing of expectations is the problem. I don't think the open world sandbox part of Archeage is what failed. In fact, I think the open world part of Archeage is what was the most successful. But the problem is, where do you want to draw the line, and how do you want to measure success? Obviously, EVE Online caters to a group of people that want to be able to shape their world. You don't shape Archeage. Archeage is, and it always has been, at its core, Archeage has always been a sandbox with no sand in it. It had all the trappings, all the makings of a sandbox game, but they just didn't, I don't think they pushed the line enough. I don't think that they pushed the line in Archeage enough. See, EVE is driven by a few dozen content generators and thousands of content participants. Yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. However, EVE also gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of freedom. Success means a lot of different things. And it's also, there is no hand-holding in EVE. They don't ever, like, they don't try to make excuses for the game and try to fix the game. What they basically do is say, here's the game. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. So if you don't have the time, if you don't have the people who are willing to put in the time and dedication to generate content for others, nothing happens. People get bored and quit. Yeah, true. But I mean, that's also, that's kind of at the heart of what I'm talking about, though. The sandboxy elements of Archeage were always controlled by a few. And then what happened was those few didn't want to risk it, and there was no way to force risking it. There was, like in EVE, to use EVE as the example, you can try to take over all of null space, but unless you have every single player on board, you're never going to take over all the null space. You are going to end up losing pockets here and there. Which is why I think people are moving back towards theme park type games, because the game itself generates the content for people to do, and people don't have to be relying on others in the community to generate. See, I don't think they're moving back to theme park games. I don't think any game out there, except with the exception of Pantheon, and Pantheon is coming out as a counterbalance to a lot of these other games. But Crowfall, Camelot Unchained, Chronicles of Valyria, Ashes of Creation, all these games, these big name games are out there, and they are create your own world sandbox, shape your world deals. I think I think you're absolutely right that people want a theme park game. Theme park players want a theme park game. Open world players or world shaping players, they want a game that's worthy of them. And that's when you need to push the line. But the problem is, to have a game that's going to be successful, you can't give players complete and total freedom. You need to have rules. And I have to disagree with you. If there's no open world PvP, if there's no meaningful objectives, then it's not sandbox. It's choose your own fate, but you don't create the world. You don't shape the world. And nothing I've seen about Pantheon, it makes me believe it's going to be a sandbox. It's going to be a theme park with some twists. And you're right in that it's not going to be a to B to C path, but theme park games by definition don't have to have an A to B to C path. They just have to have paths. You can do ABC, you can do CBA, you can do BCA. As long as there is one event to the next event in some attainable order. But I do agree with you that a lot of the sandbox games are based around a group of people building the rides. And then when those people get tired of doing it, there's no more content to be had. Now, that's actually one of the things that I wrote down today, and I need to look up one other thing. But what was the big sandbox part of Archeage? The big sandbox part of Archeage was the castles. The premier PvP content was supposed to be this castle ownership. And when Obsidian Gear was around, there was a reason that you had to accumulate Lord's Coins. You had to accumulate Lord's Coins because you needed them for everything. Now, to the best of my knowledge, the only thing you need Lord's Coins for is Aranor gear. And it's not like you're making a piece of Aranor gear every other day. You're ultimately going to make 7 or 8 pieces of Aranor gear, and then you're done. Then it's all about making lower level gear to feed into it. So, really, castles, which were the major driving factor for open world PvP and the development of... Wow, that guy's fast. And the development of PvP content is gone. Warhead was right in that all the steps that are being taken away from open world content. I mean, now, if we think about it, Archeage has become a theme box game, or theme park game, with the exception of a handful of events that you do in the open world. All the major ones, all the important ones right now are instanced. Valahyrem City, the library bosses, the Noyet Challenge, the Red Dragon instance. These are all pieces of instanced content now. So the thrill of Archeage is gone. My favorite thing about Archeage, honestly, was the cross-ocean trade pack running. But that got killed because of a vocal minority. And it got killed all the way back to initial game balance. Things that they did, or things that they failed to do with the game balance early on, affected the health of the game. I mean, because why would you play anything other than Dark Runner in year one? Right? So people got tired of, trying to do cross-ocean trade runs and having 4 people on a ship and one powerhouse character comes on, steals the whole ship. So I get it. Part of the problem was the world needed to be bigger. The world needed to be a lot bigger. And especially right here. This right here needed to be probably 3 times the distance across. But they didn't do that. So then what it became was, I mean, I'll be honest, I was part of the problem. I wasn't part of the solution. I had alts with, as soon as you gave people the ability to get alts with to get fishing boats for free with merit badges, I had fishing boats all up and down both coasts on a side, not even on my main machine, on my second machine. I just logged them in, spawned their boats. They were in places that it didn't matter, and I can... I got one thing to show today. Somebody asked me the other day, there's like, there's no places that you can put boats that they can't be harassed. Well, that's not true. But show people one of them. Not that it matters anymore now, because nobody actually, like, I don't think I've run into a merchant ship but one time in like 8 months. And then it had so many people on it, it was like, you're not stealing this thing. But, let's see. Talking about grind. I want to talk about grind for a second. Yeah, cargo isn't really worth running anymore. I mean, you're honest. You spend so much for the pack. You spend so much for the piece of cargo that the risk versus reward isn't there. You don't want to run. You do not want to run that anything other than on the safe ship. Why would I want to? Yeah, the family daily is the only solid return on the cargo. So you basically, you do that, and if you do it right, you do it both ways. You do it both directions. Do your family daily. Do it the safe way while you're, you know, watching TV or on a second screen or something. Again, the alt problem. I know people that do the family daily quest like 10 times a day. They just log in all their alts and they bebop across. They do it both ways, and that's how they make their gold. I mean, what you think about it, you have a PvP based game that you create a safe method for getting charcoal because people complained that charcoal was too expensive. But now all you've done is put an artificial floor on charcoal. People used to complain. Remember when the complaint was charcoal was over a gold? Charcoal was over a gold, and it was like horrible. Now it's 242, but everyone says at least it's not 5. Well, it was 5 because supply and demand. It got driven up to 5 because people drove it up because that was when gear was getting produced all the time. Now, you know, you don't need as much charcoal. What do you need charcoal for? You need charcoal for gems. Because you need charcoal for the sturdy ingots. And that's, you know, that's another thing. That's at the bottom of my list, but I'll jump ahead real quick to talk about it. The one thing XL gets wrong, always. They always get wrong. 13 months? Wow. Sweetheart keeps subbing, so I have to keep streaming. But, you know, boom. Oh, look at that. We got pandars everywhere. Pandars are popping up all over the place. Yeah, unfortunately, Shoot lost their counter because of the Prime thing. But talk about the economy. Does anybody else feel like the economy in Archeage has always gotten like just shit on, continuously shit on, and they don't make good decisions? Like, one of the things I talked about is, and I've always said this from the very beginning, you slated an unfair advantage to certain trade crafts, and you never like, stone should be the most used item now. Stone should be the most used item at the blue salt boards, in houses. I mean, stone should be used at about 5-to-1. What's up, JJ? Stone should be used at about 5-to-1 utilization over everything else. But it's not. Stone's not even used for blue salt dailies. Iron ingots are 50 silver each. Yeah, because you can't keep up with... You cannot keep up with the demand because people plant drills because they want copper, silver, gold. Like, you didn't think about you didn't think about where the economy's gonna go. Like, when you do the next piece of a game, it needs to make sense. The idea that you need a copper key to make a silver key and a silver key to make a gold key, that is absolutely brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. But the problem becomes, you need to constantly sit down and think about it. You created the key system. Great. But you also have the sturdy ingots. Alright? So you already had a need for copper ore and silver ore. But you already had a need for copper ore and silver ore. And then you went ahead and you added the key system in. Well, what you've done now is you've made mining, which is the easiest of the gathering professions because the nodes respawn in a couple of seconds. Well, why don't you have, and I know this is going to sound crazy, I know this is going to sound absolutely nuts, but why didn't you make the initial keys out of wood? You create a craft that requires wood. Where is your craft for leather? Where is your everyday common craft for cloth, for leather? You don't have it. The GR requirement isn't enough to drive a market. People aren't making gear anymore, so it's not like these other markets have, you know, a path to success. Plus, even, like, honestly, what is the point of me having 111,000 weaponry? There's no point, because now for whatever 200 credits, somebody can just buy the certificate to make their own weapons. So it was completely, like, what they've done is they've made the game, they've taken the multiplayer out of MMORPG. You don't actually need another player in this game to do anything. You can do everything in this game without another player. Like, people bitched about not being able to farm more honor a day. I got guys in the Discord that farm 8,000 to 10,000 honor an hour while they're farming for infusions. Well, you know, what honor was supposed to be the thing that got you to log in every day. Honor was supposed to be, you could only get it at CR, GR, Miss Marrow, Abyssal, Luskas, Aegis, Whale Song, and then killing people in the open world. Halsey. But now it's, you can get honor off of mobs. Well, where's the honor in that? You know, you had a great system, and you've twisted and turned it on their head 6 times. You know, anybody else remember New East tiers? I remember New East tiers. You had to go to certain places. You could only get certain things from the New East tier shop. You could only get a finite number of New East tiers, because once you went everywhere in the world and got every single New East tier from the world, that was it. You were done. So you had to pick and choose carefully what you were going to take out of that particular shop. Oh, let's get rid of that. There's too many sub-currencies. Okay, but for every time they remove a sub-currency, they add a new sub-currency. So I don't think the economy has ever been properly thought out, and you can see pretty clearly, pretty clearly, that it's affected the game. What was the other one I had? Sometimes I can't even read my own handwriting. Oh, why is it that they did mines? Okay, they did, these nodes will respawn in 20 seconds. But wild trees are gone for hours. And when a wild tree appears, a lot of times not a lot of times, when a wild tree appears, it appears as a sapling. So not only do you have a massive difference between mining and harvesting, it's been so long, I don't remember what the hell they call it, logging. Not only do you have a massive difference between how the resources between carpentry and masonry and smithing work, but just how you get the raw materials. Remember when farms, remember at launch, that's where you make your money in Archeage. On a fresh start server, you make your money in trees. You make your money on wild trees and logging and carpentry, because people need that first lumber pack in order to get their first farm. Now, you know, I remember playing on the most recent fresh start server and making a pile of gold in the first couple of days, and then blinking and realizing that, oh shit, people that are scripting and multi-boxing are making their money. And you don't even have to script and multi-box, you can actually do it fast enough as a player. But family fishing absolutely ruined the fresh start server. It completely ruined the economy. I don't think we're going to get a fresh start server, which is a shame. I'm going to be honest, I think you're not going to get a fresh start server because I don't think XL knows what to do with a Western audience. And the worst part is that every day I see more and more people coming back to Archeage. People are coming back to Archeage because it is still an amazing game. It is still amazing quality for a free-to-play game. Now, I did get somebody over the weekend ask me, somebody's like, well, is it true that things are behind a paywall? Yes, things are behind a paywall. There's absolutely nothing that can be done about the paywall. And yes, I understand. The Apex situation is depressing. And you're staying home from work. You know, I get it. New players come into Archeage and then they find out that I have to be patron. I have to have labor. And let's nobody kid ourselves. If you're gonna play Archeage, if you're gonna play right now, if you're not a patron, you are not gonna enjoy the game. It's not about the land. It used to be about land. Now it's just about that. It's just about that labor. If you don't have patron, I don't think you can effectively level your gear. Because I don't think you have enough labor every day to open all the minimum. Even if you just did the minimum number of infusions and you didn't do any farming, you just did the minimum number of events, I don't think you're going to be able to I don't think you're going to be able to make enough money to or have enough labor to open all your infusions and then have enough labor left to make enough gold to slot all those infusions. I've been jumping on a bunch of new players, trying to help them out. Had one level 10 on Nui. Like, why would you handicap yourself like that? Not sure what you mean. Like, why they went to the Nui server? I mean, there are some people who believe that they're better off on the fresh start server, because what they get is they get people who tell them, oh, it's easier on the fresh start server. But then that's always when I get asked what server should you play on. Well, I play on Kadem, so it's going to be a biased opinion. I'm going to tell you to play on Kadem because I want my server to be healthy. I'm going to tell you to play Kadam East because that's what I play. And then I always followed up with, but the truth is you can play on either North American server and either faction, and you're going to be happy. The only thing is that Arya is more player nation driven, and Kadam is more East-West driven. But another thing, to loop back around to the to talk about theme parks, the game as a theme park, because there's some pieces of that. Archeage isn't a very good theme park game. When you start thinking about theme park games, Archeage isn't a very good one. Archeage isn't really balanced too well. You can pretty much brute force all the PvE content. As long as you have a bard and you have 4 good melee, you can brute force the Noyet challenge. You just need to know which fights you need to do which way, but you can brute force through that. So I don't think people are coming to Archeage to play PvE content. I mean, maybe some people did come to Archeage to play PvE content. I can't speak for everyone. I wouldn't think that you would come to Archeage for PvE content when there's better free-to-play games out there for better dungeon content. Yeah, that I think is that, and that brings us back to our abusive relationship, analogy. People are coming back to Archeage because it's the best thing out there. And I hate to say this, okay? I hate to say it because 6 months ago, the game was different. The game was way different 6 months ago. But people don't want to pay a sub. I think that is the big crux of the issue. Some people don't want to pay a sub. Some people can't legitimately afford to pay a sub. But all these games that are in development right now, and if you guys haven't read the Forbes article on Star Citizen, it is definitely worth a read. They've raised millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, and they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and they have like less than 20 mil in the bank, and the game's nowhere near ready to go. Unfortunately, and I was talking to a lot of game developers. Star Citizen. I talked to a lot of game developers during the week. I don't really poke them much anymore because they're busy. They're busy working on their games. My buddy Doc Greenspoon over at Quasar Studios, he just released a still shot of what he's been working on. Guy basically took his game all the way down. He basically said, I have a game and it's playable, and I have a couple of videos where I went and I played Valar, and it was good stuff. I mean, it was rough. It was a rough. It was too soon to even call it a pre-alpha. It wasn't even a pre-alpha. It was basically it was a storyboard. It was a let me see what works, let me see what doesn't work. It was a tech test, is if you want to put a official term on it. It was really a developer's tech test. But, the guy has some good ideas. Ninja Loot Games, they've got a lot of good ideas. They've got a lot of things on paper. But the biggest problem is, I hear from game developers that the waterfall method of game development was always gonna add 2 to 3 years onto the production timetable, because in waterfall, before you ever code anything, you plan everything out. Well, the more I think about it, that might not be such a bad idea in MMOs. And I'm going to use Ashes of Creation for an example right now. Ashes of Creation came out, and they were developing at a ridiculous speed. Like, remember Spaceballs? We've gone into ludicrous speed. They were developing at a ludicrous rate. It was bonkers. They put their Alpha Zero out in like 72 production days or something. From the time their Kickstarter closed to the time they put Alpha Zero into the hands of their players, it was like 70 days. I know it wasn't It wasn't more than 80. I want to say it was 72, but 72 was also the max number of games the Bulls won in a season, so that might be interfering. But, that's funny. Um, but, uh, the problem that they came up with is they started talking about things that they were going to do in Ashes of Creation. And they said, we're going to have 300-person alliances, or, sorry, 300-person guilds and 1,200-person alliances. Okay. Well, that works if every castle fight is going to be 500 versus 500. Well, then they backed off and they said, we're going to do... right now we're going to aim for 250 versus 250 person fights. Well, the problem with changing the max number of people in the fight is that now you have to go back to your max guild size and you have to lower it. Because if you want alliances to matter and friendships to matter, then you can't have a guild that can siege, that can siege by themselves. Because when you have a guild size of 300 and a fight size of 500, it means you have to bring 200 allies with you. You have to have 200 friends. But if you drop that requirement down to 250, well, now a 300-person guild can siege on their own. Well, what it also means is, conceivably, a 1,200-person alliance with fights being 500 versus 500 could siege and hold 2 castles. One formal alliance could hold 2 castles in Ashes. Well, if you drop that down to 250 versus 250, then one alliance could hold all 5 castles on a server if they had just a little bit of outside help. They'd only have to create one additional outside guild to do it. Or they could just decide to hold 4 castles and call it good. So, you have to realize not everything in a game exists in a vacuum. So you change one thing, but you end up changing more than one thing. So I'm glad that Intrepid in Ashes of Creation slowed down. I'm absolutely thrilled to hear them say they're slowing down a little bit. They're gonna really work on the back end to see what the back end is gonna be able to do. Because, I mean, let's be honest, in Archeage, you couldn't ever really have a good castle siege. Because even in default player mode, right? Even in default player mode, you couldn't render all the people. Reason you quit was one guild held all the castles. Yeah, there was a point on Selphira that I was in the guild that held all the castles, and just the entire mechanic of the castle sieges is almost, you think to yourself, you're doing the castle sieges in a way that is theme parky. You're doing it so only one guild can siege at a time. And then if anybody buys their own siege scroll, they don't have to face competition that week. That doesn't really build a game around open world content, open world PvP. Oh, you wanna dodge your siege this week? Just have another guild buy your siege scroll. And then they tried to fix it. They tried to fix it by making it so that only top 20 guilds can bid on the castle sieges. Hold on one second. The little one doesn't have school today. It's so weird. Oh, hold on, let me help her. Yeah, Munchkin's here today. Her school it is kindergarten screening day, so all the kindergarten teachers need to have their the day off from teaching so that they do the screening and whatnot. I remember that at the I always remember teacher planning day when you'd sit there at the end of the year and you'd find out which of the kids, like, it was kind of like the NFL draft. You'd be sitting there. She must have, yeah. I was thinking, like, when she came down and she's like, my books where the cats lay. I was like, I don't think there's books in there. Get out of here. But I'm jealous of the Munchkin today. The Munchkin gets to go see Detective Pikachu. That's what's on the agenda for later this morning. But no, it was always funny. You'd sit there as a teacher, and you know, you'd be making your homerooms for the next year, and you were like, all right. You're sitting there with the other 7th grade teacher, the other 8th grade teacher, and you're like, all right, you get first pick. I want this kid. All right, I'm taking these two. I'm taking these two. Then you get to the, like, let's be honest, there's some kids that, you know, no teacher wants. I ain't even gonna lie to you. There's kids, man, no teacher wants these kids, because they're, some of us are that kid. I will definitely admit I was one of those kids, because I actually took school seriously, so I would ask the teacher a bunch of questions. I mean, truth be told, most of your education you don't even need to go to school for. If all you're gonna do is give me a book, if every class day is, we're gonna talk about what you read last night, do you have any questions? Well, then why don't I just have to come to class if I have any questions? You know, I've seen some progress in schools that work on that method. The kids do all their education on a computer, and then the only time the teacher interacts with them is when they have a question. Let the kids self-paced learn. The tests at the beginning, the tests at the end of each chapter, they'll let you know if the kids are doing the reading. I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea what you're talking about. But oh, let me go back to the last point I had. So actually, I had notes for today's show. Grinds. I know what everyone's gonna say. People hate grinds. Let's be honest. Every MMO, every single MMO ever made is a grind. There's no MMO that doesn't have an element of grind. You either grind for gear, or grind for levels, or grind for gold, or grind dailies. But every game has a grind in it, because there is an end to the content. You can't have an infinite amount of content. Now, what you could have is procedurally generated dungeons that you never see a second time. With that said, you would still end up doing a ton of front-end work. And you would eventually see repeated content. There's no way you're gonna ever see unique content forever. You're not gonna see, you know, you're not gonna see 5,000 dungeons in a game, and all 5,000 dungeons look different with, let's call it 4 bosses per dungeon. So you're not gonna see 20,000 unique dungeon bosses. That's never gonna happen. That is beyond the realm of possible. I mean, it's just an impossibility. Now, was Serpentis? I do want to say, the idea behind Serpentis was great. The idea behind it, having a dungeon that you go into that randomly changes a couple of the rooms. I enjoyed Serpentis when we were first doing it. Now, of course, you know, enjoyed it in so much as every single dungeon in Serpentis, or every single room in Serpentis, is, at launch, was basically everybody have Ormancy, everybody use wings. I mean, that's what Serpentis was at launch. It was wings rotations. You got really good at communicating, and communicating through wings rotations, but the on paper idea of Serpentis was great. I think you could have gone a little bit further with it. Go into Serpentis, and you can't change classes. Once you're in, you're in. That's it. You go in as a cleric. Whatever your class is, you're stuck that way. Now, the problem comes in is that you've then defeated one of your core. You see, again, everything goes back to your initial core game design. What's the main draw one of the main draw features of Archeage? One of the main draw features of Archeage is that you don't have a fixed character class. You had, at launch, 120, and now 165 different classes. So then you have to make all your dungeons in consideration that anybody can become any class at any time. One thing I'm glad about is that, as much as I know it sucks, one thing I'm glad about is they made it so that healers can't use the ancestral or the stacking of their holy bolt in dungeons. Could you imagine if the upgraded holy bolt worked in dungeons? Then all you need to do to clear dungeons is just bring all healers. Just all healers. Don't need anything else. I was surprised in a mage tank at myself, 2-man serp with no healer, full run. Were they a plate mage using occultism? Yeah. I mean, the Absorb Life Force is a great skill. But they broke it. It's absolutely broken. If you're a plate mage, let's call it a plate tank. Okay, a plate mage tank. That Absorb Life Force is going to give you back so much life. It's just disgusting. That's a broken scenario as well. But again, it's all based on your core design, which is, I'm gonna be honest, it is a huge concern of mine when it comes to Ashes of Creation, because Ashes is my next destination for MMOs. My current homes are Archeage and Final Fantasy XIV. I am really enjoying Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, there's a lot to do. I haven't had to. It's not like I got to the. It's not like I got to the end of the content and I'm like sitting there bored. True, they have 4 years of content, so they have 4 years of expansion packs. They're a theme park, so you expect them to have some stuff. Plus, I will admit, I play a tank, Tamir plays a healer, so it is way easy to get all of our stuff done because you need to... Oh, we're stuck behind a dungeon. Progress is stuck behind a dungeon. Q, instantly grab 2 people because there's always DPS looking to do their daily stuff. I also have a DPS, and I will admit that I feel their pain. If I queue as a tank, I get a dungeon pop in no more than 2 minutes. Usually it's like literally queue, pop. Usually as a single standalone tank, no more than 2 minutes, and I get a dungeon run. As a DPS, it can take up to 9, 10, 15 minutes to get a dungeon pop, which I get it. It sucks for them. Tamir and I try to run a couple of extra dungeons a day just to help out DPS. But, you know, I haven't burned through all that content yet. That was another thing. It didn't make the list, but what was the main storyline we got in 5.3? Go get your owl ride. Okay. So you got like, what did we have? Literally 15 minutes of main storyline to do. It would be nice. It would be nice if Archeage, when they came out with an expansion pack, if they came out with, you know, a sizable chunk of content to do. You gotta remember, the game is an import game. Gamigo has been strangely quiet though. Warhead, I think, was thinking that we were gonna get the expansion next month. I think that was Warhead, or maybe that was Kia. Somebody was thinking that we were gonna get 5.5 next month. I don't think we're gonna get 5. I don't think we're gonna get 5.5 until they have the European server. Until they get the European server fixed. Absurd kill rate when farming with heavy loot. You only get 5k per 2 hours. I don't know, man. I've seen people pull 10k in an hour from the screenshots they send me. Yeah, KR is in 5.7. They are motoring along. They are motoring along. Saw 2 dagger class. It will be a new tree. I haven't heard anything about any new skill trees. You can run a 2 dagger class right now. Nothing stops you from dual wielding daggers. But no, I didn't hear anything about a new... I didn't hear anything about a new skill tree. So that's... There is a new video showing a new melee tree that uses dual wielding. Interesting. Do you have a link to that shoot? I haven't seen it yet. Means they got to come up with 150, or they got to come up with 55 new skill tree combinations. XL did a live stream about it. Oh, was that the thing last week that I saw that they did some live stream last week. I didn't catch up with it. Part of that was I was sick on Friday. I'm sick this morning too, but I'm not throwing up, so I can stream when I'm not feeling well. But if I'm throwing up, nobody needs to live that. We don't need that. I don't need to be vomiting while I'm trying to stream. Did he? Okay. I'll go look that up. check that out real quick. Let me see if they did a post. No, they did not. See, and let me just say, I'm not against them doing new trees. But why do you need new trees? Why can't you just fix the ones we have? You know, do you really need new skill trees? Has to be in response to malediction. See, and I could agree with that, but malediction was such a horrible idea anyway. Malediction was in order to not make people lose. Like, they created a bunch of content that they realized they broke the game with. So what they decided was, oh, we're gonna take out the content, but we don't want to waste all the work we did taking it out of the game, so we're gonna salvage it. Yeah, and I think ultimately I think every company is. I think every company sucks at balancing. I don't think I've run into too many examples of companies that do a good job of balancing. Most of the time it feels like they're like, oh fuck, we broke it. Let's just keep breaking it more and more until we get something that looks not as broken. Like, for example, and I can only go with games that I've played. Inside WoW, Frost Mage, Arcane Mage, Fire Mage was never balanced. It was never balanced. Even though they tried to say that they were balanced, the trees were balanced, they were never balanced. The truth is, they were never supposed to be balanced. They were supposed to be different. They were supposed to achieve different effects. And then when Blizzard, and we're going back 10 years now, but finally when Blizzard came out and said that, hey, these trees aren't supposed to be balanced for DPS output. Arcane is supposed to do the most DPS output. Flame Mage is supposed to do a comparable amount of DPS output, but via dots, not via big spells. Frost Mage is supposed to be CC orientated. Then you gotta basically, talking about leading people down a path, you gotta lead people down a path of, hey, this is what this is supposed to do. This is what this is supposed to do. I don't want to do that. That's gonna put me with a bunch of alts. Nobody. No. There's nobody recruiting. Let me in. But another game that struggled with that was both versions of Final Fantasy XIV. The original Final Fantasy XIV, they actually had the original Final Fantasy XIV, they actually had where you built your own classes. That wasn't balanced at all. Because they didn't make every ability learnable by every class. They only made some abilities learnable by every class. So you had these classes that could just put out a ridiculous amount of DPS because they could pick and choose the abilities they got. But they fixed that, and now in the current, and then when they released Final Fantasy: A Realm Reborn, they kind of fucked up with classes because they released 2 tank classes at launch, and one of them was way better than the other. And then they swung and balanced and went both ways, and they kept fucking it up. And at least, I will say this for Square Enix, they at least came out with a statement where they said, we're not going to release a new healer class in the next expansion pack because we don't have a handle on the 3 healer classes we currently have. And so I was like, well, at least, you know, at least they're honest, you know, at least they're honest with it, you know. Why release another class for the sake of releasing another class if you don't have your things balanced? I know you're confused. One kid's here and the other one isn't. Oh, hush. Hush your face. He's angry. Her human isn't here. Her human had school today. Oh, it was kind of funny too. I know you guys like the stupid ironic stories of, you know, what are we teaching children? School sends home this survey. They send a link home, and it's to SurveyMonkey. I don't mind if you want to use SurveyMonkey. If you want to use SurveyMonkey, go right ahead. I think it's a great tool. I use it myself. The first question you ask me is my child's first and last name. The second question you ask me is my child's date of birth. Nah, you're not getting that information because you already have it. So why are you asking me for it again? If you really need that information, then send me home a paper survey. Because I'm not putting my kids' information into a third-party database. And the school they keep sending it home. Well, you haven't done this. Yeah, maybe you aren't picking up the fact that I have no intention of doing it. I'm not going to do it. If you need this information, then send me home a paper copy. Because I'm not going to answer this. I just can't believe that we've gotten to the point where everyone's this lazy. What are we teaching kids? I mean, shouldn't schools be completely comprehensive education? It's just like if you ever get a phone call, if you ever, I don't care who it is. I don't care who the phone call is. If they're calling you and they say, well, we've noticed a problem, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, can I get your social security number? Nope, you called me, so I'll confirm the one you have on file. And they're like, well, that's not how it works. You're right. This isn't how it works. I will go ahead and call into the bank. Well, I'm not. Okay, you're done. Because you're running a scam. Because if you call me, I confirm the information that you can see. If I call you, you need to confirm who I am, so I got to give you the information that's in your system. But if our schools sold our child's data to companies, they could be so much better funded. You know, that's another ridiculous thing. My kid gets mail. My teenager, my 13-year-old gets pre-approved credit cards sent to her. How in the blue fuck is a 13-year-old pre-approved for a credit card? But that's the shit what happens. Don't tell me Verizon isn't selling their customer data. You're telling me Verizon isn't selling their customer data, yet ironically on the day that my teenager is pre-approved for a credit card, so is my wife, and so am I, and so is my best friend who's on my phone plan. We get 4 pre-approved credit card applications all at the same address on the same day, and the only thing the 4 of us have in common is Verizon. We don't have anything else in common. I don't think so. I think you're selling my data. But it is what it is. And what it is a load of bullshit. But it's just like, you guys, I'm sure you guys get the phone calls. This is PayPal, like the robotic voice. This is PayPal, and we have reversed a whatever. And you know what? Hang up, block. The worst part about it is blocking the number doesn't do anything because that's not actually the number they're calling from. They're calling from a spoofed phone number, which sucks. But, you know, and then it actually also surprises me. What was the one, the Dodge company, called me the one day, and I was in one of those moods where I was feisty. I was feisty, and I got into it with the guy, and and I said, hey, if you're calling me to invite me to an event where you're gonna try to buy my car, I'm not interested, and don't waste my time. And if you're gonna do this, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not really gonna be too inclined to make another purchase from you. So be real careful. Be real careful what you say to me, because it's gonna have long-lasting ramifications with my future of my business, with your company. And the guy turns around. And he says, no, sir, we're not going to try to sell you a car. Okay. We're inviting you to a buyback event. Why would I want to sell you my car? And he says, well, because we're going to give you top dollar for your car. I said, all right, how much are you going to give me for my journey? And he says, well, you'll have to go into the dealership. Well, then why am I on the phone with you? Well, because we're inviting you. So you're inviting me because you want to buy back my car. Yeah, but you can't even give me a ballpark. No. Well, what am I going to do when you buy back my car? Why do you want to buy back my car? And the guy's like, well, I don't understand what you mean. You want to buy back my car because you want to sell me a car. Obviously, I have a paid off car. The only way this works is if I buy another one. The guy was so stupid reading off of his script. Like, because he's typing in whatever is on his screen. Whatever my keywords are, he's typing in and it's popping up his next line of script. I finally said, dude, stop reading from the script and talk to me like a human being. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Like, whatever happened to common decency? Like, I guess we don't have that anymore. Dude, I own my 2016 Dodge. I only own it because Tamir was in a car accident. We needed another car, and I didn't have time to deal with a bunch of bullshit. I went on USAA.com for the military thing. I was like, I need a car. It needs to have these features. They found it. They gave me my guaranteed price. The guaranteed price was below Blue Book for that vehicle, and I went and I bought it that night. I would never have bought that car otherwise, but it was in a bind. I was in a hurry. I needed it. I don't understand. I don't understand the society we live in anymore. Is there a good build for solo player? Yes, there's lots of them. Most of Archeage is soloable. Depends on how you want to do your damage. Melee, archery, magic, or vitalism, which I don't recommend, but you can do it if you want. So you gotta tell me how you want to do your damage, and then once I know that, any fun magic build? Yes, sorcery plus what armor do you want to wear? Because in order to do this properly, you got to talk about your class, your gear, and then your build. You can't do just your class anymore. So, but yes, there are tons of magic builds that are fun. You can quite literally do magic plus malediction plus shadow play. You want to do leather? Okay. If you want to be able to pop out of stealth, then you take shadow play. If you want to do bigger damage, you can stack Songcraft. If you're gonna dual wield, oh, what? Where are you going? Whatever. That's just it all determines if you're gonna run a shield or not. If you're gonna run a shield, you take. If you're gonna run a shield, you don't necessarily have to take defense, because you'll have enough defense from the shield. If you're gonna two-hander, then I definitely recommend defense because the Redoubt, the abyssal version of Redoubt. Can you be like a magic assassin? Yes. Anybody with shadow play can basically be an assassin. It's all about popping out of stealth and ganking. And magic has the ability to punch holes in people. The other nice thing about magic plus shadow play is Stalker's Mark affects magic damage as well. And the way it does it is by taking 15% of their magic damage reduction percentage off of them. That's pretty that's a pretty meaty buff, especially when you run into people in plate that their only magic defense is their magic defense shield and then their magic damage reduction percentage on their armor. Stalker's Mark chews through a lot of their mitigation. If you want to kill people, Blade Dancer. If you want to watch people die to Blade Dancer, go Vitalism. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong there. You can't actually kill that one. That one is, that one's the guy who runs around and he, spawns off all the ore for you. Dungeon Crawler Network, are you bored at the moment with, Ashes? Like, is this drought the worst drought we've had in a long time? No, there's no traps. There's no trap class. You're a total noob. What am I doing right now? This is called the Fall of Hiram City. This is an instanced event in order to get infusions for your Hiram gear. Blade Dancers are pushovers. Yeah, I mean, Blade Dancers are gear dependent and they are they're reliant on the person they're fighting being built a certain way. I've noticed Blade Dancers have a problem with people that are stacked high resilience. Because you're not running Blade Dancer to run a Death Pen build. You're definitely not in that configuration. So, Blade Dancers are all about that crit damage. If you're stacked resilience, then you're not going to have a... then Blade Dancers are going to struggle with you because you're not worried about crit. Let's see. We got way too much traffic out of making fun of Soulbreaker. Which was funny but sad that we needed to do that. Yeah, I mean... That's the problem. I don't think that they have a good... I don't think that they have a marketing roadmap. I don't at all. They release stuff and then they release stuff and then we don't get stuff, and then they say you'll release stuff but we don't get it. They need to, like, you should have never said, they should have never said that they were going to do a content roadmap until they actually had the first like 2 months of content done. It's really easy to say we're going to do a content roadmap and then miss it. It's much smarter to have the first 2 months of content done, and then you have the first 2 months of content done. Then it's easy to keep up with it. Resilience does almost nothing versus a geared blade dancer. That charm combo is broken. Actually, a charm combo has nothing to do with resilience. There is nothing you can do to another player to reduce their resilience. The charm combo takes off your shield. But I will say that a geared blade dancer doesn't really give a shit about your resilience, because he takes off your shield, he reduces your defense by 50%, and he just punches through you. Gonna lay down. Sweetheart, feel better. I'm assuming you don't feel good, that's why you didn't go to work. The charm combo removes 50% of your physical defense. That only matters if you're not fighting somebody like me. And like I've talked about, I'm built, you can strip away all of my physical defense and I'm still a pain in the ass to kill because I have 6,000 toughness and 7,000 resilience. That's where blade dancers get kind of fucked. Because they think their charm combo is going to make me an easy kill, and then all of a sudden they realize this fucker has 0 physical defense, and I've taken out less than a third of his mitigation. That's where the big one comes in. They're not expecting somebody to have that much mitigation left after their physical defense is gone. Thanks, Scribble. Yeah, I was sick. I was throwing up on Friday morning. I've been sick since October. I've been to the doctor a couple of times. I was getting better for a while, but I've just been sick again. I can't get to 100%, and that's the problem. Plus, a lot of it is allergies, and it just struck me at a bad time. I didn't get back up to 100%. I had 4 upper respiratory infections over the winter. I never got healthy. And then now my allergies. Plus, I have to walk all the time. I have to mandatorily give up my fat kid club card. I mean, I'm down 40 pounds, but I have another 40 to go. But it's not so much that, I have to get rid of the weight. I got to get rid of the weight because I got to get rid of the cholesterol effects of the weight. Don't ever get fat, kids. That was my own fuck up when I first retired. I was working out all the time, and when I retired, I said, fuck, I don't have to work out all the time. But I'm gonna keep eating like I am working out all the time. What's my build? I play Doombringer. I play Doombringer only because, I'm gonna be honest, if they would give me 500 serendipity scrolls or serendipity stones for free, I would completely roll off my healer gear, and I would go be a mage, or I would be anything else. But since it would take me a small fortune to roll off my gear, I'm just kind of stuck. And I think that's the other reason why I've started playing other games. Because, if I'm going to start over, I might as well start over on another game. And that's what I did. I started over with Final Fantasy 14 like 3 weeks ago. And been having a hell of a fun time with it. 14 months, oh my god, marriages don't even last this long. That's crazy. I'm gonna be honest, when I retired in 17, when they first notified me of my retirement, I hadn't had a soda in 4 years. And that was why I was able to keep my weight under control, and still eat everything else I wanted to eat. I'm a fan of food. I am a fan of food. I'm a fan of all 7 deadly sins, but gluttony and wrath are right up there at the top. But I hadn't had a soda in 4 years. And then, I mean, I had an occasional root beer if that was the only thing they had, but it's not like I was slamming sodas the way I was when I first retired. Yeah. Now I don't drink soda at all. It's just empty calories. Just completely empty calories that do nothing for you. So, got rid of that. Right now, like I said, don't have a choice. Cholesterol's out of control. And I know people are like, well, your cholesterol doesn't matter. It's all about your... Yeah. My bad cholesterol is really bad, and my good cholesterol is really bad. So I've got to change my diet to flip my numbers. I don't care. I mean, I brought my cholesterol down 80 points. But now I got to get the 2 numbers in the right places. And a lot of that is just weight loss. But, with all that said, yeah, you can't drink soda. Any cool builds for Leather Archer? Yeah, Ebon Song. Primeval. Trickster. Archer is probably the easiest to play around with because you have a basic template setup. I have the basic template set up on my webpage, but you really don't have a lot of options when it comes to what you're going to take with archery, because it's kind of one of those, hey, you're going to take these. You're going to take these abilities. Ebon Song is the best for survival. Ebon Song is also still really damn good for your maximum damage output. You can put out a lot of damage as an Ebon Song. A lot of damage. Ebon Song is better for lower gear scores. I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that because I mean, the songs fill in a lot of the gaps for you. Primeval being better, you know, I'm not sure necessarily if Primeval is better. Definitely agree because of mobility from teleport. Not really quite sure what else you're grabbing out of Oromancy that makes it quote-unquote better. Oh yeah, that ridiculous, the comic boons, yeah, and the magic shield. Yeah, it makes you more survivable versus mages. Yeah, Zeal gives crit rate, not crit damage. And once you have your own personal crit rate up to 100%, they say you can't have over 100% crit rate. I don't believe them. That's what they say. Like I said, I don't believe them. I think you can, because I've shown that even the character sheet will show you above 100% crit rate. With that said, there are, I mean, we've talked about the resilience thing, unless you're stacking a ton of crit damage, your first crit damage rate increases get nullified by even a little bit of resilience. I don't think there's a way to theory craft it out until we see what the final gear looks like, until we see the final numbers. Yeah, even at full rhythm, it's only 22.5% crit damage. So I mean, yeah, it's not bad. It's not like it's nothing, but at the same time, there's it's just an add-on. It's extra. You should be using Eben's song for the other bits and pieces. The rhythm is just the rhythm is just an add-on. You should be using it for the charm, for the defense, the 50% defense removal. That is a much bigger part of it than the rhythm buff is. But they've completely butchered Songcraft over the years. Think I can get away with a two-handed leather blighter? Yep, you can. Now, if you're gonna go a two-handed leather blighter, one thing you might want to look into, even though it's more difficult to gear, you might want to look at getting an Ionad flame set, and that is a lot different than a Hiram set. But if you're gonna go leather and you're gonna go melee, you really need to think about an Ionad flame set. It is a fuck ton. It is just a fuck ton of extra damage. Flame set will do. What about rings and whatnot? Flame as well. Yeah, you want to do the Noyette challenge and get your free accessories. Ultimately. I mean, how do you go wrong with free, right? I mean, it's not free because you still have to pay. Oh, damn it. You still have to pay to put the slots in. Yeah. Noyette's free. It's free. You still pay a ton of gold. But, I mean, you pay a ton of gold. No matter what you do, like we talked about a little bit ago, everything in the game is a grind. Everything in every game is a grind. You are going to grind in every game you ever play. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what game you play. There's a grind. Anyway, now that... Oh, come on. There's 190. I will be right back. Uh, 10K is what I've heard per piece. Probably. Probably in right around there. Oh yeah, you Florida people. I gotta say, I'm gonna tell you Florida viewers. Originally Tamir and I were gonna move to Nevada. The reason why we picked Nevada is it's a very friendly military retiree state. I'm looking at houses out in Nevada, man, and I can't believe these prices. Like, I don't mind spending some money on a house, right? I don't mind spending some money on a house. But my house is paid for, so I don't really want to take on a mortgage. I'm in a shitty state. I'm in Illinois. Not really a great state, but it's a very veteran-friendly state. I'm cool here. I'm happy. We looked at 2 states. We looked at Florida and we looked at Nevada. I kind of like the idea of Nevada. I kind of like the idea of a dry heat. You know, what's wrong with my neck? What's wrong with my hands? What's wrong with my shoulder? Dry heat sounds really good to me. So I'm looking at houses, and I'm like, no, I don't want to spend this much on a house. I don't want to spend this much on a building. You know, looking at previous construction versus new construction, and you know, almost have to spend a fortune to get a house built the way I want it. Because none of that, I don't like the layout of the houses that are there. So then I look in Orlando, and I'm like, well, it's not going to be a dry heat, but there's no snow. You know, I want to get the hell away from the cold and the snow. And I was like, oh, I can get a lot more house for a lot less dollar. Then I gotta have like hurricane insurance and shit. And I don't necessarily know if I want to. I don't necessarily know if I want to move out to a place where, you know, hurricanes are like it's literally high. Hit my house with a hurricane, please. Hurtful, not you. You're Frost. I want to get away from snow. What's up, Dream? But no, I've come to the conclusion that I hate snow. I hate the cold. The shit, man. Frost just had snow. He's in Colorado. He had snow the other day. Fuck that. It's May, man. There doesn't need to be no snow on the ground. You're legal in Europe. Congratulations. Your house was built in 1950. Yeah. I will say that. The, old school houses, man. Old school houses. They were built right. Nowadays, we get these houses that are built on the cheap. You know. Houses are built on the cheap now. And I swear there's people's houses that I could put my fist through the side of their house. This house that I'm in right now, like I said, this house came about because it was the only house for sale in the town that I wanted to live in, and I got moved out of cycle, which meant the only military people who were leaving were also military people who were moving out of cycle. And I wouldn't have bought into this neighborhood, but I was leaving Ohio short notice, and I had to have a place to put my kids. So, I regret buying this house, but I don't want to move into the same town. I think that's silly as fuck. I'm only going to be here for 5 more years. I don't want to buy another house in this town, because you lose a bunch of money every time you buy and sell a house. You lose money. Remember, we talked about once you start getting involved in lawsuits, the only people who win are the lawyers. But once you start getting involved in real estate, the only people who win are the realtors. I mean, goddamn, they take a chunk of your house just because, right? Yeah, I'm moving in 5. I'm either gonna go to Orlando or I'm gonna go to Nevada. I told the kid who's in 7th grade now that she would finish junior high and high school in one town. Poor kid moved like 3 times in 5 years because my military career said so. Florida has cheap taxes. Actually, I will have no taxes in Florida. Because Florida doesn't have income tax. And I don't think Moorhead or Shoot might be able to tell me. I don't think military pay tax in... Oh no, Florida doesn't have income tax at all. Do military pay property tax in Florida? Yeah, if you moved to new construction Florida, make sure it was in swamp 6 months earlier. Yeah! That's... Retired military do? Okay. Well... that might be a no-go then. See, I don't pay property tax either. That's one of the reasons I like Nevada. You don't pay property tax if you're retired military. I don't even understand how Nevada has any taxes. You've got Reno and Vegas. How does anybody have to pay taxes out in that state? But yeah, what Shoot's saying is, like, right here, Shoot, it's kind of funny. I knew all about this subdivision. I knew all about the subdivision because it was being built when we lived here the first time. So I live in the back half of the subdivision that was built by one contractor who actually did the job right. The guy who did the front end of the subdivision, he kind of went on the cheap with the leveling of the land. Hold on one second, I think I'm about to be talked to. It's movie time. They're going off to see Detective Pikachu. Which then, of course, my 13-year-old got... She was like, but I wanted to see it. Well, you got school, sorry. But no, it's funny, you see the houses here, and the yards are all unlevel, because they didn't prep the front half of the subdivision. They didn't prep very well. They just kind of went in and they tampered down the foundation spot. And the yard, I mean, you got fences that literally have to be put in like at a downward angle. It's pretty ridiculous. Back on this side, they flattened out everything. They made the water runoffs right. But I mean, shit, the river used to run like way further up closer to the houses. So the people across the street, they start to get nervous every time we get a big rain. They start to get nervous and they're like, well, what are we going to do? And I'm like, well, your shit's going to flood. That's what you're going to do. You're living on what used to be a river. Like, that's not good. Saw a news post this weekend. It said New Orleans is losing 4 football-sized chunks of land every day from global warming and sea level rise. Yeah, building on a silt bed doesn't even... Yeah. Yeah. Let's build, like... Let's talk about common sense for a second, then people don't have it. You're building below sea level. Which is fine. It's fine that you build below sea level if you're in the middle of the continental United States. If you're, hundreds of miles from the nearest ocean, build below sea level. You're fine. You're building below sea level and you're surrounded on 3 sides by water. Probably not a good fucking idea. It's just like all the farmers in Illinois that are along the Mississippi River. And they're like, well, if the Mississippi, if any of these Army Corps of Engineer structures break, my property is going to be flooded out. Well, no shit, because you're on the river. Well, no, the river's over there. No, the river's only over there because they moved it. But hey, you gotta love the American spirit. We're just gonna move rivers. If I had my choice, I'd go to a place with a green nature. I may be a nerd, but outside is nice, especially if you small home garden a few trees. Yeah, I'm not saying I don't like greenery. I love greenery. I love trees. But I hate the cold. I hate snow. I despise snow on like a fundamental level. I don't wanna have to shovel it. I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't mind driving in it, but I do mind driving around all the idiots that don't know how to drive in it. So, therein lies my major problem with it. The average person doesn't know how to drive in snow, and it's frustrating. It is absolutely frustrating. Although it is funny. It is very, very, very funny when you. We were in Dallas. I was stationed in North Texas for tech training. And it was February in Texas. And we got snow. I remember it was Valentine's Day weekend, actually, because I went down to see David Copperfield in Dallas. I bought David Copperfield tickets. And I'm headed south, and it's Texas, and it's snowing. Well, in North Texas, that's not a big deal. They get snow in North Texas. People don't ever believe me when I say this, but Wichita Falls, Texas, they get snow. They have snow removal equipment. It's not a shocker for them. But around Dallas, they're not used to getting large amounts of snow. A dusting every now and then, but I see a guy, I'm doing like 40 on a somewhat having been plowed road. And this guy goes flying past me at 55, and I'm like, well, he's dumb. Like 2 minutes later, down the road, I see him in a ditch. He lost control of the car in the ice and the snow, and I'm like, serves you right, man. Like, why are you gonna be stupid? I live in Cali on the side of a mountain. Let's cut down all the trees so I can see the view. What do you mean mudslides? Fix my house, government. Yeah, like. I'm gonna buy property out in the middle of the woods, out in the middle of the forest, and then I'm gonna expect the government to expend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to save my subdivision when there's wildfires. Well, wildfires happen, man. Let's reroute an entire river and then not understand that. What the ramifications of rerouting a river are. I don't understand why we're having all these problems. All we wanted to do was bring drinking water to people. Well, I don't know if you follow the beginning of human nature or the beginning of human society. How did society spring up? They sprung up in places that had the availability of clean water. It was kind of like, it was kind of like a requirement. So when you think that you can just, reroute the water and you think this is a good idea, you fucking deserve it. I'm not saying anybody deserves to die. I don't want anybody to take that away. But, you build your house in a place that's known for natural disasters, you might deserve to lose your shit. Just saying. It's like the people who live in Tornado Alley and they've lost their house like 5 times. What are we gonna do? Oh, we're gonna rebuild. Fucking move. Move. Because you live in Tornado Alley. But whatever. You can lead a horse to water. You can chuck his ass in the water. You can't make him swallow. Yeah, house. Most are trailers. Oh, shit. But that's like these cruise lines. These cruise lines. Well, we're going to set sail during hurricane season. Yeah, because hurricanes are completely predictable, right? Well, they are. Yeah, tell that to the people in the panhandle of Florida. That hurricane came through and they weren't expecting it, and it tore the shit out of everything. Entire communities just gone. Hey man, you do you. Ah. What? That's the Jersey Shore where people's land gets washed away every year. That's, yeah. I mean, that's like, Shoot said it, and, you know, people want to have this pristine view. I remember going up to my dad's place, and I run the beach. Well, I don't run the beach anymore, because, that's a level of training I don't need to worry about. But I like to run in the sand. Running in the sand is a hell of a workout. Well, I would run the beach. And it was always funny because I would run the beach to this spot where a house had collapsed off of a cliff into the lake. And I used to laugh about it because literally these people would build their houses on sand dunes because they wanted the view. Hello? You're building on sand. But that's what we need in Archeage, man. That's what we need in Archeage. We need, you know, you need to come back to your house, and your house is just gone, buried, you know, buried in a landslide. A fucking tornado picked your house up. Just took your shit. Where's my house? Oh, your house was in Rakala? It's in fucking Solus now. Yeah, beach erosion. SimCity disaster. Hell yeah, man. That's another thing. That's another thing. Why don't we have, you know, more events in the game? Why aren't there more events? Like, I want a game, and here's the thing. People would bitch, right? People would bitch. But could you imagine if there were NPC bandits on top of you know, player thieves? Like, hey, I'm doing my trade run. How about we add a little bit of spice to the game? How about, you know, there's bandits? How about there's NPC bandits? I mean, EVE Online. EVE Online has, EVE Online, when you're out there mining, pirates show up and try to blow up your mining ships. Am I quitting Archeage? No, but I'm definitely winding down my Archeage journey. Unless, I mean, I will definitely come back if they do a fresh start server. I will definitely still be doing Archeage a couple of days a week, but maybe a short break is all I need. But I'm not having fun with it anymore, mainly because my class has been completely decimated. And to give you an example. Of where the fun is, where the fun is. I started Final Fantasy 3 weeks ago, and I am nowhere near the end game yet. I'm nowhere near the end game. I'm still in the first expansion. I finished the main storyline, and then I finished the first free expansion that they did. The first free content booster, the main storyline buff. I finished all that, and we finished that last week. Now this weekend we started Heavensward, and absolutely love it. I absolutely love the story. But I can get a full set of decent gear in Final Fantasy for the level that I'm playing in like 2 days. I don't need to spend my whole life getting gear. What is my class? I play Doombringer. And the only reason why I play Doombringer is because I'm too lazy to switch to Cleric and then switch back if I need to go do something. I could put out a little bit more. I could put out a little bit more damage as a Cleric. But, I mean, I don't really need a little bit more damage. Good news is my left hand is working today. It's always a plus. At least I can do 1, 2, 3, and 4 today. Man, it just pisses me off. It, fuck's sake. I wouldn't have minded so much if my right hand had gotten fucked, but my left hand getting fucked. I mean, I'm primarily left-handed, but the nuns beat the pen out of my right hand, so I write right-handed, but I torque with like a wrench left-handed. But today's a good day. Today I can use my hand a little bit. I don't have to click everything. What really sucks is today's the first nice day that we've had all weekend. This weekend, man, all we got was rain. I saw a fucking poem. Roses are wet, violets are wet, everything is wet. Stop fucking raining. Friday it was shitty, Saturday it was shitty, Sunday it was shitty. We finally, Tamir and I just had to go and take our walk in the rain. Didn't have a choice in the matter. Otherwise, you know, once you stop walking, you don't want to go back to it. So we took a walk in the rain yesterday. It was just a drizzle, but still needed to be done. You have my pants. No, they're bound. I'm sorry. Oh, it's Ebb and Melon Live! Haven't seen you in a bit. This is Doombringer. Don't try this at home, kids, because this only works because I have such a ridiculous amount of healing power. Harry, my face. Me watching me makes you want to play Archeage again. Yeah, well, if you don't have time, Archeage is not the game to play if you don't have time. Archeage is definitely not the game. Am I using a club and a dagger? Yes, I am. Yep, club and dagger, and then my other, my hot swap is a Mist-Song Shield, because Mist-Song Shield is, it's higher because of these stats, but Mist-Song Shield is, let me pop it in real quick, because those stats are wrong. 7,300 health regen to up to 10 people, so that's a pretty nice AoE heal. That's mainly why I roll it in. Yeah, I am a big fan. I mean, I do have to thank XL for doing something for the healers, and putting in this Ancestral Holy Bolt is pretty nice. Getting 150% damage against mobs and having a 0.4 second cast time is pretty nice. Ironically, I have to dual wield. I don't have a choice. If I didn't dual wield, then my global cooldown would be longer than my cast time. Yeah, I need the attack speed, so I don't have a choice. That was the one thing I was worried about when we were talking about this ancestral Holy Bolt back in January, February, before it had actually come out. What I said was, I'm not sure if it's gonna work, I'm not sure if this is going to work because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get my global cooldown low enough. But you can. You can. Let's see, I need to get gems. I need to get Luna Gem pluses. What the hell are these? Those are +2s, I imagine. Stera. Yeah, the built-in reduced global of 0.5. It's the only reason why. It's the only reason why you could spam it. I don't think I could spam it any faster, even if I got more cast speed. Unless I would have to get more attack speed to get more cast. If I stacked more cast time reduction, I mean 0.6 seconds, and then it goes down to it's gonna go down to 0.4 if I remember correctly. Yeah, the cast time is 0.4. I don't think I could get it any lower than that. Because I don't think I could have any more. Yeah, I'm at 40%, so that's as low as you could get when you have prayer stacked. So yeah, you're not getting any lower than that. Okay, let's see. I am such a pack rat. Oh, let's see. You gonna be nice to me today, game? Oh, I don't have enough. Haha. Correct. I should have taken scrolls one more time. So I'll have to wait till the next time I farm that out. Oh yeah, 23. Prayer looks like it's getting nerfed, so it only provides a passive -6% cast time. See, that's the thing. If they do that, then it's just good game. Game over. They need to stop fucking with. They need to stop fucking with healers. They need to stop fucking with healers. Healers have had enough. I mean, if they're gonna keep fucking with healers, then just let healers like rebuild their gear. Winter is coming, dude. Winter already came for healers. The healers got beat down in 4.5, like absolutely just beat down. We were able to fix a little bit of it, but the rest is just shenanigans. 1 in 15:30. So 30 minutes on Red Dragon. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more. 5 of it. Excel announces a new class. Please be a healer. Please be a healer. Melee class. Any more skill sets? Movement on top of that. Yeah, I mean that's a huge. I mean that's another reason why, you know, my Archeage journey is coming to an end, because truthfully, I'm tired. I'm just tired. I'm just worn out. The conversion healer build is OP. It is OP, but the question is, have they fixed the problem with what they've done? Oh, what the hell am I doing? I'm not paying a damn bit of attention. Yeah, I'm stupid. Those are just gonna go in the bank now. Well, that one will go in the bank. We'll need that eventually. I'm gonna learn to pay attention. But yeah, they've done enough to take away the they've done enough to take away the conversion healer though, because it doesn't work anymore. The conversion healer doesn't work anymore because you took away healing circle, you took away the healing received from Ode to Recovery, so there was no reason. There was no reason to do it. Oh, and you made absorb dam. Yeah, they made absorbed damage function differently. So because you did all these things, you don't have to just beat a class into the ground. You can. No. Oh, because I'm stupid. You gotta actually go to the kiln. You don't have to beat a class into the ground. You can, in fact, balance things slowly. You can make little tiny tap, 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 taps. You can make little tiny taps and correct the game a little bit at a time. I need 15. I think I can afford 50. I can. Instead of nerfing them, the newest KR patch will boost two-handed melees. Probably. I mean, it always happens. That's the way it always rolls out. They don't think about what they're doing. They don't think about what they're doing in the slightest. And then what happens is, it's like I've always said. I think they have 4 teams. And the 4 teams don't ever talk when they're balancing. And so the healer team is like, okay, we're going to just cut our shit's too broken. We're going to nerf it. And then the melee team is like, oh, the healer shit is too broken. We're going to bump ours. And then all of a sudden you get this huge disparity. And again, if they really thought that healing was the problem, if healing was really the problem, then why aren't they nerfing all healing? Why are they only nerfing? Self heals? That doesn't fix your problem. Over the lifespan of Archeage, they did a huge nerf to mages by fixing the God's Whip animation cancel. Yeah, and it's funny because they fix one of the animation cancels. But they didn't fix all of them. So, how are you going to fix, or how are you going to nerf out, right? How are you going to nerf out one damage class? Now, I'll be honest, God's Whip was a stupid ability to begin with. God's Whip should have never existed. It was a dumb ability. It wasn't really well thought out. It didn't really have a counter. And then what happened? Mages bitched and complained, so they changed Protective Wings. Did I just notice you upgrade the gems while they were in the weapon? Yeah, those were, these, in this weapon, these are T3 gems. There's no way in God's green earth that I'm going to do T3 gems. So those are T1 gems, and all I'm doing is plussing them up. They'll be slightly weaker when they're done, but they'll be good enough. Did not know you can do that. I have an Archeage 101 on the Luna Gem system. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, they'll be slightly less. But there's no way, like I said, there's no way that I was going to come up with enough gold to do that. I mean, if I were to keep playing, if they were to magically fix healers, I would have to do an entire set of resilience gems. And I would have to do an entire set of toughness gems. And then I would end up having to take these out. These I would take out and upgrade to T3s. So, yeah, I'm in a point right now where I just want to keep, making positive progress on my gear. To gem with only like 10% of the stat loss. Yeah. So it's a catch-up mechanic. It's a way to be almost as good. I mean, 258.7%. That's pretty good for my crit heal bonus. And I will get that up to... I don't remember what it's going to be. It's going to be like 265 versus 269. So it's not a huge difference at the end of the day. It is a difference, but it's not like it's not an, oh my god, I'm a second-class citizen. I mean, you're always going to be a second-class citizen in this game. You're never catching up to the top of the food chain. You're never catching up. Well, you can if you swipe. But you're never catching up to the top of the food chain. Now, if you swipe, anything's possible. Hi. Oh, thank you. Hey, free hereafter stones. Any kitty wandering around? Hold on. Let's see if any of them obey. Doubt it. I doubt any of them are going to listen. But there's always a chance. There is always a chance one of them will wander over. Uh-oh, I hear you. Come here. Come here. Somebody wants to see you. It's so funny. We just clipped their nails. We clip their nails pretty often. They still claw up our shit, but... Hi, come here. Ah, there you are. Just for sweetheart. Just for sweetheart. Stop it. Look at this majestic beast. He hasn't been fighting. He's got whiskers. Handsome little man. I know, right? Let's see, I played a few years ago before Pay to Win Shop and had a blast. I'm wondering if I start playing again with just Patron and catch up enough that I can be competitive in World PvP. Well, first of all, there'd have to be World PvP for you to be competitive with. I'm just saying. There's not a whole lot of World PvP running around anymore. With that said, yes, you can, if you just have Patron, every day that you do your thing, you log in, what have you, you will eventually catch up. Because as I just did the rotation. I didn't do any extra farming. I just did the rotation minus Reedwind because I hate doing Reedwind. But ran around, did my dailies, got my stuff, and I was supposed to take scrolls. I forgot I was supposed to take scrolls. So I need... This piece is done. It needs to be awoken. So I'm just bebopping around doing bits and pieces. But yeah, if you put the time in, I've seen people that have gotten a 9 or 10k gear score in a month. They work hard for it. They hustle for that gear score, but they get it done. But yeah, most of the world PvP is gone. Most of the world PvP is gone. Red Dragon has moved into an instance. There's not as much open world content to do. It's not that they took away open world content. It's that there's no real need to do it because everything else has gone inside of instance. Denoyet Challenge, the Fall of Hiram City. These things all went inside of instances. You'll see the Red Dragon in just a couple of minutes. I'll do that before I disappear for the day. But you can certainly get your gear, but unless you like ganking people. Black Dragon comes this week. Is that confirmed? The 15th? Cool. That's something then. That's something for people to enjoy. Player Nation Free Farm? Maybe. Maybe. I don't necessarily know if it's gonna work that way. Only because I'm not sure if they can. I'm not 100% sure that they can hold it. They may not be able to. They may find that there's enough people that can contest them. We may be able to make it so no one gets it, but the numbers are swelling. Well, I'm actually shocked, to be honest. I am shocked that they're pushing the Red Dragon out before they put in the patch that gets rid of player nations. I would have thought they would have gotten rid of the player nations first. That would have made sense in my book. Oh, I have some. Haha. I have some squirreled away. I actually have no cloth Hiram though, and neither of these pieces are. Neither of these pieces are worth working with. Oh, this one might be. Let's do it this way. Law of averages, right? Trade runs are mostly out. Everybody does the safe version across the Everybody does the safe version across the trade ship. That way, you pop a captain's protection and you can't get killed. And I have heard of a couple of people that got banned for that got caught pulling people off the trade ship, and then they subsequently got banned because it's an exploit. Why don't I use the auto list option? Because I'm gonna be honest, I forget it's there. The first time I was putting in the lower ones. But yeah. Yeah, the game has, I mean, not gonna lie, the game has radically changed. The game has significantly changed over the years. Alright, we want resilience. I do like this feature. That how the fuck is that even possible? How the fuck is that possible? How do you re-roll to the same effect? Yeah, but it's not supposed to even be on. Anybody else see why I went over to Final Fantasy? I don't mind. Okay, I'm gonna take this opportunity to say this. I don't mind that I didn't get the stat that I want in 3 attempts. I don't mind. I get it. It's RNG. It's RNG. Anything can happen. But the stat you're rolling off isn't supposed to be in the pool of shit that can possibly appear. It's, you know, every other stat is supposed to be there. But the stat you're rolling off isn't supposed to be in the pool. Because, for example, I'll show you this one. Okay. If I were to try to roll received healing off, I have the low one. I have what's known as the low stat, 8.8%. Was it shield def pen to shield def pen rate? I thought it was just, I wasn't seeing the other piece. I'll have to relook at the clip. So yeah, then I was flipping between 2 stats. I thought it was all the same rate. I didn't notice that it said, I didn't even know that was an option. Hold on, where are they? Oh, shield def pen rate. Okay. Fair enough. So apparently it wanted me to have shield def pen. Thanks, game. Watch this. Hold on. You know how you can make your morning complete? Watch these not awaken. And a crystallization. Thanks, game. Thanks, game. Appreciate it. So, is Archeage really that pay to win? I'm a new player. Yes, Archeage is very pay to win. It's not as pay to win as it was before, but then I realized as I was going over my show notes once, that's not actually true either. Archeage is as pay to win as it was before. The thing is, there is an option that exists to play with no pay to win, but you're never going to be the top of the food chain. Aranor gear is always going to be better than Hiram gear once you get it to a certain tier, a certain level. So what's going to happen with that is when you get it to a certain tier, you get it to a certain level, Aranor gear is far better. And now that Aranor gear can be awoken, it's just going to continue to be better. So if you can afford to swipe and you can afford to buy your gear, you can afford to buy the best. Hiram gear will make you competitive, but there are some people who don't want to be told, if I don't swipe, I can't be the best. And with that said, we will look at, like, you're talking at the top of the food chain, at the absolute top of the food chain, 16,064 minus 13,373. You're talking a 2.7, just about 2.7k gear score difference in the top 100. That doesn't say anything for the fact that I'm 1,000 behind the top 100. New healer meta. Holy Bolt will go through shields, no block, and healing won't be stopped by shields either. Yeah, you can't block Holy Bolt. You can't block, parry, or dodge magic attacks. The only thing that can happen with magic attacks is that you can miss if you don't have 100% accuracy, but you cannot block, parry, or evade them. That 1% for chucking, that's powerful stuff right there too. But you see here, this is the fundamental difference. This is the fundamental difference between game types. So if I was still playing Archeage, you know, seriously, all the time, what happened this morning would piss me off. Would absolutely piss me off. As far as I'm concerned now, that celestial chest piece that can just sit in the chest. When it comes time to feed another piece of gear, that'll just get fed. Because I'm not gonna waste time, effort, energy upgrading it and then have it, you know, piss me off again. But in other games, hard work equals results. In Archeage, hard work equals attempts at results, and that's my big issue with it. That's ultimately my big issue with it. I had a guy join my guild during a regrade event, and for 5,000 gold, he got a full divine set for 5,000 gold. Self regrading it all. He had his set of gear. He had his obsidian 1 set for 5,000 gold. His regrade attempts, everything went divine. Versus I tried to get an epic piece, and I went through like 15 tries, couldn't get one epic, but one guy went straight 11/11 divine. It's RNG, and it is what it is. So you have to realize hard work doesn't pay off. Hard work gives you the opportunities for it to pay off, which is fine. I mean, difference of opinion. At the beginning of the show, I said, if you're playing Archeage, you're not basically playing a theme park. Archeage has basically become a theme park game. There's nothing wrong with theme park games. There's absolutely nothing wrong with theme park games. But if you're going to play a theme park game, play a good theme park game. And then you'll have more fun with it. For example, like I said, Final Fantasy XIV, I go in, I do my daily roulette. Every 2 days, I can buy an endgame set of gear. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to jump up before Red Dragon, and then that will close up the show. I'm going to be giving away an Apex on Kadem, and I'm going to give away a gift card to Steam. Then I'll talk to Cybot as soon as I get back. What about the Nui Apex? I can't give Apex out on Nui because I don't have a character on Nui, and I was banned on Nui, so that's that. I give out Apex on Kadem. That's where I have them. Feel bad for new players. There's this promise that things will be equal for them, but that isn't reality. That is an Archeage. Yeah, I mean, that is the truth. Archeage isn't going to be equal. You're never going to have equality in Archeage. Nor should you. Nor should you have equality in Archeage. Nor really should you have equality in Archeage. Archeage is an open world sandbox game where decisions are supposed to matter. Now, what I will say is that open world sandbox games need to figure it out, and they need to stop having a single dominant group taking over the whole game. When you have a single dominant group take over the whole game, you have a problem. Oh, fuck it. Let's just do this. Let's just enter and hope we don't get scrubs. But if new players are having fun, it's okay. There are other games to play if not. Yeah. 100% agree. The problem is the Fresh Start server that's currently out They should have been scrapped and reset on day 4. The problem that existed never should have happened in the first place, because Tryon was well aware of the problem in advance. Tryon chose not to address the problem. So they don't get to turn around and say, "Oh, our fresh start server was ruined because of bullshit." You were told by several content creators who are the numbers guys, who are the spreadsheet guys. Hey, you need to do something about this, or you're gonna have a very shitty game. And they did it anyway, because they were all about that cutesy little marketing 4.5 on 4.5, and they didn't realize a week's delay is what they needed to do, and they didn't. And so now you're stuck with fresh start servers that were mismanaged by the Tryon team. And unfortunately, the Tryon team is the same group of people, just with the new company. Now, again, the legacy servers, you're always going to have shitty legacy servers. The reason why you're going to have shitty legacy servers is they are the result of irresponsible players. And what I what I mean by irresponsible players are, if you have a sandbox game, then only half of the problem resides with the developer. The other half of the problem resides with the player base. The rules say I can do this, so I'm gonna do this. The rules say that I can own the entire server and never build any castles. They'll never admit they messed up after the Royal Launch reset fiasco. They tried to be honest once they got grilled for it. That's because they weren't honest. They didn't try honest. That was their problem. They said they were going to be honest and they lied. Well, that's worse. That's worse than not saying anything at all. That's worse than not saying anything at all. Like, and I'll use Intrepid Studios and I'll use Steven Sharif. I am relentless. I don't give a fuck what company you are. I don't care. If you come out with some top level bullshit, some USDA stamped, sealed, wrapped, packaged bullshit, then that's what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call your bullshit bullshit, because that's obviously what you want. You obviously want it called out. You obviously want it to be called out as bullshit. And so some of the time, Steven or Margaret at Intrepid, they open their mouth and I point blank, both barrels. You're out of free chances. You're out of, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Let me help you. Let me tell you that you just put your foot in your mouth. Especially when you're basically belligerent about how you're going to say something. I don't know how I'm still a content creator over at Ashes of Creation. I would fire me. I say that I would fire me. I would never do an interview with me. Because I'm gonna, ask the hard questions. I outright called him out. And said, hey, you said you have 115 people working on Ashes of Creation. How many of those people are part of Stormmancer? You said you have 28 people in France. How many of them are Stormmancer employees? They're not really working on Ashes of Creation. That's like I could say I have 57,000 people working on a project. Okay? If I count everybody from I have 5,000 people working on your house. I'm building you a house and I have 5,000 people working on it. If I count the lumberjack who chopped down the tree, the shipping guy who moved the tree, the guy who turned it into planks, every single employee at the lumber company. So, you call out shit like that and you're like, hey, what are you doing with these numbers? These numbers are bullshit. But hey, I mean, technically, every time you want to count every single person involved in a process, those are the total number of people that are working on the project. Just like, honestly, How many people are working on a game development? Well, if you look at Square Enix, they'll say we have 500, 600, 700 people working on your game. And the reason why is they count everybody. They count the legal team. They count the janitors. They count the... If you've ever watched the credits of a video game, look at some of the credits, man. One of the credits is the food services people. All right, having worked in an industry that needs food services, I'm not saying that the food services people aren't important people. I'm not saying that the food services people aren't important people, but they're really not involved in the development of the game. You know, like your administrative assistant is an important person, but your administrative assistant isn't really involved in the development of the game. They're part of the studio. So let's not bullshit and mix words. You have 115 people working on Ashes of Creation. All right, you got 44 people on your website. I've called you out on it 3 or 4 times. So now when people ask me how many people are working on Ashes of Creation, I say I can confirm 44 people. Well, what about all the other people they said? They say that they have them, but it doesn't take a lot of effort. And I told them I was going to say this, and I said it like 2 months ago. I think 60 days is enough time. All you got to do is make one icon the right size for the box that says photo not available, and then you just list all the people that you have working on the project and just put photo not available. Then it becomes verifiable content. It becomes verifiable of who's on your staff. So, you know, you want to say you have 115 people, 66 people, 5,000 people, say whatever number you want. But if I get asked how many people can I confirm are working on Ashes, I'm going to say I can confirm 44 people. Because I can see, I can put my eyeballs on 44 faces. So that's honesty. The shit that Crolin and Big Data Dude tried to do, that wasn't honesty. And that's why I will never be invited to be an official content creator at for Archeage again. The reason why is because you're not going to put a leash on me and tell me what I can say and what I can't say. If I say something that's blatantly wrong, then jump up on there on your jump up on your live stream and dispute it, you know? Jump up there and say, hey, what Jalan is posting out there is factually incorrect. Outright say, hey, a content creator the other day said this. We'd like to show you the numbers. We'd like to say that that's factually incorrect. What he said was factually incorrect. You have the whatchamacallit, you have the Halsey Wars. Don't say that Halsey is the problem with Halsey is based around the North American servers or the European servers. If people in Korea are crashing during Halsey, that means it is a problem with the code. It is a problem with the game in Korea. Yeah, exactly. It's not enough to say that's factually incorrect. You have to actually provide the actual facts. Like when Big Data Dude had me banned from the official servers because I called him out and said you're lying. He banned me, and I got the whole please don't spread false information. And I turned around and I said, first of all, the guy that has the gear is one of my viewers. And I've already said, hey, what's up with that? And he's like, yeah, man, all authentic. All authentic. And I was like, all right. But how are you going to say that nobody had their hands on several thousand gold? He actually made a statement like, I can confirm that not only has nobody had several thousand gold, there's no player who's had more than 2,000 gold. Well, then how the fuck does he have legendary gear? Because you're wrong and you're lying. So provide the actual information, or just shut up about it. People automatically associate large numbers of employees as a successful company. Yeah, they do. The number of employees you have doesn't make your company successful. The number of employees you have doesn't necessarily mean anything. Doesn't indicate you're on a path for success. I mean, let's look at something. Why did the United States Postal Service get better? They have millions of employees. Why did they get better? Because UPS and FedEx and DHL were about to put them out of business. And they were like, oh shit. Now, big companies ship with the United States Postal Service again because they had to revamp. But they got millions of employees. Government jobs not necessarily witstanding. But, you know, a lot of employees doesn't mean efficient. Let's see. I don't think, I believe that information that is given to us is too vague and provides too much room for interpretation and creates false assumptions at times. Yeah, a little bit. Definitely a little bit. I mean, you don't have to lie about it. Yeah, I know I'm being talked to in game, and I choose to not respond. You don't have to give people the actual facts. You can, you can simply put, hey, we've received your request for the specific numbers regarding resilience. We're electing to not give you that information. Okay, at least you acknowledged it. You said, you said that the community wants it and you're not going to give it. Intrepid Steven has outright said, you're not going to know all of the numbers. You're not going to know all of the algorithms. We're simply not going to give them to you. Well, that's a perfectly fine methodology for running your game. Just outright say, we're not going to give you all the formulas. You are going to have to do the math the best you can. I think there is a certain disservice to knowing all the formulas. But in turn, by withholding that information, you leave yourself up to people assuming things that aren't true. Yeah, but if you knew for a guaranteed fact what all the formulas were, then you would have a meta cookie cutter system, which you pretty much already have, but they're based on assumptions. But it is what it is. They lie so much back then that they have active GMs. I've seen 10 carrots family. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. How are you going to turn around and say that you have active GM monitoring? How are you going to bullshit and say you have active GM monitoring, and then at the same time, it comes out that you don't do ticket support on the weekends? Well, then you don't have GM support on the weekends. So if anything else, during what is most likely your prime time, you don't have GM support. How? Because what do your GMs do while they're actively wandering around the world looking for cheaters? They also answer tickets. And so how are you gonna say one and not the other? And how are you gonna have it where the same person spams in chat? The same person spams in chat for 3 hours and doesn't get banned. You only have 6 servers now. One GM can monitor 6 faction chats. So one GM can monitor 3 servers. It's not like it's difficult. I mean, shit, somebody in the community
built an out-of-game chat monitor that you literally could see trial chat because you could see the speakers because it was pulling it out of game. Well, why can somebody in 4 days build this, but Trion's gonna claim that it's impossible? Because they're full of shit. If you don't play Archeage, what is the next best sandbox? Albion Online. I would not play Albion Online. Period. I played it in 2015 during alpha, and that lasted about 4 hours, and then I got my money back because they said all housing would be open world, and then like 2 hours, 3 hours into the game, you come across, hey, here's how you get your instanced housing. Well, what instanced housing? I thought all housing was going to be open world. So you know, that's another thing. All these game companies are promising the world, and then they're failing to deliver, and it's really starting to become habitual. But I blame the gamers for that. Why do you believe what these companies are gonna say? You know full well that they're not going to be able to deliver on half their promises, but you believe it anyway. Well, why? Why believe it? Because people are that excited for the next big MMO because they're tired of everything on the market. All you have to do to make the gaming community happy is A, a little honesty, B, a little integrity, and just deliver on what you say you're going to deliver. And if you can't, don't say you can. Like, I don't know, European players, have your servers actually gotten fixed now? I know for a while we were at the whole emergency maintenance, pre-planned emergency maintenance. Well, that's not emergency maintenance. We're so much more critical to games due to the social media influence than before. I agree. I do agree with that. I think now though you have I think you have the ramifications of the social media presence allows people to have an opinion that gets shared. So, hey, I don't agree with how you're doing this. I don't agree with how you're doing this, so now I'm gonna say something about it. Whereas before, the only time you really talked to people about games was in the game. So you were talking to like-minded people. You were talking to like-minded people on the forums, on the in the game chat. Now it's quite literally people stop by the stream to ask about the game. It said every job is a deadline, and if you don't meet it, there's penalties. Why is gaming not like that? Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, I am really getting tired of the excuse that gaming is so star-spangled difficult that you can't hold game developers to the same deadlines as everybody else. And I've talked about this repeatedly on my show. There's two types of programmers, to my knowledge, because there's two types of personalities. The first one is the people who say they can do it in a week, and they don't have the skill set to, and it's really going to take them a month. And then you've got the people who could do it in a month, but they say it's going to take them 3 months. Well, both of those groups of people need to be properly managed. I'm not saying that developers make good project managers. I'm not saying, or programmers make good project managers, and I'm not saying good program managers are good project managers or good programmers. You have your skill set. But when you say you're going to deliver something by X date, and then you have to just say, oh, well, you know, we don't know what the new deadline is. Well, how do you not know what the new deadline is? Well, we don't want to share the deadline until we're sure we can meet it. That's because you're not sure you can meet it. Truthfully, it becomes a matter of, I don't believe you. I don't really know how else to say it. Like, Gamigo, I don't doubt their intentions, but I do doubt their ability to properly manage Archeage. They've done a lot of good things. We're talking every game. We're not talking any game in particular. We're talking every game. I mean, look at Star Citizen. Star Citizen, $200 million raised, right? $200 million raised. They supposedly have 17 million left in the bank, and they're nowhere near a release. What they do release isn't that good. Well, how have you burned through millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, and you don't have anything to show for it? Well, because you didn't have the right people doing the right tasks at the right time. Camelot Unchained is late. Crowfall is late. Pantheon's only saving grace. Pantheon's only saving grace is that it failed its Kickstarter, so it's really not beholden to a timeline, because they're like, hey, well, we failed our Kickstarter. What's the highest gear score you can attain? So far, 16,000 is the top of the food chain. Let's see. Are there dungeons in Archeage? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, not really. You don't... I saw somebody say you need a tank for dungeons. You don't really need a tank for dungeons. If you don't have a good healer, then you need a tank. If you have a good healer, you don't really need a tank. You just need, like, Noyette Challenge, you don't need a tank. You just need 4 badass DPS. Just have 4 badass DPS and burn through it. Yeah, 16k is the top. I can't do it from in here. Somebody rolled over 16k earlier. Uh-oh. Now the question is, how can I do this without sound? My headset went to sleep. And apparently people on my street need to blare their music. Oh yeah, it was funny. We had these kids going around the neighborhood. They were opening up people's mailboxes, stealing their mail. And I made a friendly comment, and I said, you know, I said, we have this Facebook group for the community, and I said, yeah, some parents are going to be in for a rude awakening when their kid gets charged with a felony. And one of the smart mouth parents is like, well, my kid's only 10, he won't get charged with a felony. And the fucking local postmaster was like, yeah, don't count on it. Interference with the mail is a serious offense. Well, how about instead of making excuses for your shithead kid, why don't you tell your shithead kid to stay out of other people's mailboxes? My kid won't get in trouble for it. Well, you know. I really wish people had to get a license to have children. Let's see. Highest gear score, 16k is the top. Yep. In Paradox, they're not pocket healers, only pocket DPS. That is correct. We don't believe in pocket healers. Healers in Paradox have pocket DPS. We bring DPS with us. Wow, this is a lot harder to do without volume than I imagined. And you farm raids and shit to get your equipment. Yeah, all I gotta do is the 7 Hiram dailies. The 7 daily quests, the Fall of Hiram City. Do this, do the Red Dragon instance, do all the instances, and you end up getting the gear you need. You can farm the library dungeon if you want that set. Most people are running Hiram just because it's easy. And then they're running Noyette accessories because, again, they're easy. most people stopped using crafted gear because crafted gear is a bit of a pain in the ass. The dungeon set is shit for archers for right now. When the set gets re-released, it's better. Because they acknowledge their whole, we did it again, we're sorry, we didn't count archers as real people. So. Yeah, archers, I mean, remember when they said that archery was a support class? I mean, remember when they said in an interview that Archeage was balanced on rock, paper, scissors? And then immediately afterwards I said, all right, you're gonna be balanced on rock, paper, scissors. And what's the rock, paper, scissors then? And it's funny. I'm not one of these people that's gonna say like I mean no ill will towards a person, because that would be bullshit. Because if you're stupid, I have no sympathy for you. If you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, then especially as a producer of the game, I think a producer of the game should know more than the player base of the game. Because I mean, after all, you have the cheat sheet. You have the notes. You can see everything. You're not guessing like the rest of us. Leather plate cloth? No, what they were talking about is that melee, archery, and sorcery was a rock, paper, scissors. And when they listed off the 10 skill trees, they didn't include vitalism. So I remember doing the video, I was like, what the fuck, did I just fall off? Do I not exist now? Like, how? And then people's immediate response was, well, Tryon didn't write the article. A news outlet released the article. Well, that's true. But if your relationship with the author of the article is so bad that they didn't send you a copy of the article for proofing ahead of time, then that means your company's reputation is shit. Because, you know, there are times, like, I'm a small-time nobody content creator, and I'll still send Steven or Margaret a question. I'll be like, hey, I'm working on something, and this is what you said. Is this what you meant? And I usually get an answer pretty quickly. I usually will get an answer pretty quickly if it's something like, hey, I'm going with the story, and this is what you said. Is this what you meant? But you would think that massively OP in Tryon Worlds, you know, you'd think that they would be like, all right, here's the article in its final version, and then they would be like, nah, dude, you kind of fucked up this article. How long does it take to get to max level, or what is the highest level? The highest level is Ancestral 34. If you want all the skill trees, you have to do it 11 times. Well, you actually have to do it 4 times. 1 to 55, 4 times. Yes, there is an auction house, but it's locked behind a paywall. Once you've had access to the auction house once, you always have access to the auction house. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Red Dragon Keep. There's my stuff. Now let's see, because I didn't want to try to turn this back on. If I crashed, that would have sucked. Aw, that's kind of cool. Gizmo and Tamir are the only people at the movie theater at 11 o'clock on a Monday. Let's see. Lurking now, need to get your daughter. Yeah, I'm going to be closing up. Giving away a couple of gift cards and then getting out of here. Let me load up Nightbot. You get 2 gold crates. I'll just open the pack. 2 gold crates, somewhere between 2 and 4 spinal ridges. And you can get a red dragon weapon, but you'd have to have a golden unicorn up your ass in order to get that. You got the weapon? Apparently you got a golden unicorn up your ass. You got the staff? That's cool. Alright. Gonna give away some stuff today. Sold it for 3,400. Let me get rid of this. What are those items used for? The spinal ridges. They're for upgrading the red dragon weapons. And then the costume, I think, as well. Yeah, it's not in the it's not in there as a material. Oh, because it would have to be. No. See? Frost, shut up. There's a reason why I do things the way I do them. If I click it, it comes up shard. Why I type. Holy fuck, it's like people are fucking allergic to typing or shit. Jesus Christ, type. Not hard. How you get better at typing? By typing. Almost 4K gear score, 3 more pieces to awaken for divine. There you go. I just do it for something to do it. Yeah, and the dragon mount. Yeah, it's for the awakening scroll. Or that one, the eternal flame scroll. All right. First and foremost, time to get out of here. It's a nice day out. I gotta go for a walk. But I'm giving away some stuff. First up is an Apex, and it's on Kadum. Let me go. I always like to pull it out first. And let me go do. I gotta get the goddamn accounting sheet up. And you can't even give away stuff in this country, it becomes a nightmare. Gotta keep track of everything. Can't be profitable. You're profitable, you're a business. You gotta be a hobby. Ridiculous shit. Alright. Daddy needs to renew Patreon. Alright. Keyword. Nice and easy. Your keyword is Apex. It's your responsibility to come to Kadum, pick this shit up. Shoot, if you need to get your daughter and your win, I'll shoot it over to you. I know you can't hang out. You gotta get the kiddo. I want to be able to get one too. Well, make an alt on Kadum. Then you do whatever you want to do. Nothing says you can't have it. Just have to have it on Kadum. Because that's where I have them. That is where I have them. Gonna let this go. I'm gonna let this roll about 90 seconds. I'm gonna click this over at when I'm live for 3:06 on my counter. It's nice having the little counter on the bottom. And then after this, don't go away because I'm gonna give away a gift card as well. We didn't make last week's goal. So we didn't make last week's goal for numbers, but the numbers are strong today. So I give away an Apex, and then next week, maybe, next week, if we hit the right number, I give away an Apex. I'm running out, though. I'm running out of Apex. Running out of Apex. I do want to say thank you, too, guys. Every time people subscribe, it adds to the pool of money. So, I'm gonna end up most likely buying more Apex to give away because I've got a pile of money, pretty big pile of money. I actually delayed receipt of money from YouTube because you can pick your threshold when you get paid out. And I was hoping that there was going to be a game worth giving away, like give away a couple of copies of a game or something. But it doesn't work that way. If you don't have Patreon anymore, can you still sell land if taxes are paid? No. Can't put property up for sale without Patreon. So here we go. Roll it. Where the hell's my window? Roll it. Korea picking up an Apex. Korea, I need a character. Oh, you don't even play this, do you? Like, what am I doing with this, Korea? Waiting for Korea to tell me what I'm doing with this. Nap time? Nap time? Re-roll it? Okay. Re-roll it. Dreamglades. What character am I sending this to, Dreamglades? I think people just want to win. That's the thing. Can't remember the alt's name. Archeage. All right, the other giveaway today, a $10 Amazon gift card or a $10 Steam gift card. The way these work, is, if it's Amazon, I'll do it before the show ends. That'll be the, I will send you the gift card. We'll wait. You get it. You wave. Blah, blah, blah. If it's Steam, unless you've already won a Steam gift card from me before, then we end up having to wait a couple of days because that's Steam's security. Although I do have a nice, nifty, clever tracking system now because last year I kind of screwed up and somebody won and I said, I sent it to him. But the problem is I hadn't sent it to him. I'd only lined it up to send it to him. I was waiting for the lockout to go. Person was kind of nice about it. They came and they're like, hey, are you gonna send me the Steam card I won? And I'm like, oh shit, I feel horrible. Waiting on Dreamglades. What I'll do is I'll get the giveaway going for the gift card. We can start that. All right, mods can win. Keyword. Gift card is your keyword for the $10 Amazon gift card or Steam gift card. So go ahead and do that. I will do this one in about 3 minutes. Your 3-minute warning. Oh, while we're waiting for that, hold on. Let me see if it's down here. It may be down here. It may not be. I was gonna show you guys. Frost sent my daughter. Frost sent my daughter this pretty sizable stitch. She packs that thing around with her everywhere she goes. Well, Tamir has a giant one. Tamir has a giant stitch that I got at Disney. I mean, the thing fills my whole chair. And now Gizmo walks around with her medium size stitch, and she'll always bring it up to Tamir's and say, well, big stitch is lonely. Makes me smile. About 90 seconds. Waiting on Dreamglades. Dreamglades. You're making my paperwork stack up. I hate paperwork. I have the sad part is I have money in the ashes pot. Oh, it's Dreamglades. Mail it to Dreamglades. Gotcha. Boom. Boom, that one's done. Why don't I type it? Because if on that one, I copy paste it, because that way if it goes to the wrong person, not my problem. That way people see me paste it in, it's on the recording. I've had people give me the wrong name. It's like, not my fucking problem. So, roll this one. Must be the smartass, this must be the smartass luck. What do you want, Amazon or gift card? Or Amazon or Steam? Amazon, okay. This... Amazon. Amazon gift cards. Where the hell are you? I have these favorited. Oh. Helps if you type the right word. Oh, damn it. They have the ridiculous ones up. I hate when there's holidays. There we go. Okay. Your whisper was not delivered. You should be able to post a email to me. Yep. Why I wouldn't let you post links to me? Everybody else can. But that is what it is. I wish that it would save my standard template gift card, but it doesn't. I don't know why. Da-da-da. Make sure I don't do what I almost did the one time in almost send somebody $1,000 gift card. That would have been bad. All done. Add to cart. Proceed to checkout. Place your order. That's done. That's sent. Yeah, I nearly sent somebody $1,000 gift card, which is why I don't hit buy now. because expediency is in buy now, but if you click place your order, then you see it on the bottom. And you definitely don't want to accidentally send somebody a $1,000 gift card. So you should have that. Let me know. Usually they go through right away. Sometimes it takes up to 5 minutes. Yep, sent. Good. It's off. It is off into the land of the wild blue yonder. With that said, wow, still have a pile of money. Still have a pile of money. 7 years on a GPU. You need a new one. Yeah, I will be back on Wednesday. I don't know what I'm going to do on Wednesday. I might do, I might start rotating in 1 day a week, another game, just so I don't burn out. Although, if Wednesday is the patch day, I'll probably take a look at Archeage for the patch day, just so we know what's going on. Until then, if you guys got questions, make sure you PM me on Discord. I'm Jalan #0001. The Archeage 101 website's up. My Ashes 101 website's up. I got a whole bunch of cool stuff at the bottom of the screen. You guys don't need me to tell you that. You all know where it's at. I will see you guys on Wednesday. We'll talk about that patch that comes out. Take care.